and again, they get on the right people. They just can't stay on them. So to me, it's more of it's like an athletic deal. It's when you put hands on somebody, can you move that guy, or can you stay on him and have a good base and drive him? And they're just not able to do that.
Cale Gundy hanging out with us from Sports Animal in Oklahoma City here on the postgame show with Terry Ford, live from Savage Craft in West Columbia. It is the tailgate show on a football Friday here on the game. I guess last thing for you, Cale, you see the gauntlet that Oklahoma has, because again, the SEC did them no favors with the schedule the last couple of years. You got two coming up in Texas and A&M, and then you got South Carolina, obviously, and then it really gets crazy down the stretch. And you get a mulligan or two to get in the college football playoff. What's your thoughts on, okay, hang in there with Hawkins for a few weeks. Hopefully, you can kind of tread water, and then you get Mateer back for the real heavy lifting at the end.
Well, their best player is John Mateer. There's no doubt. They still got a great defense. They're still going to hold everybody down to a low number of points. They are the real deal defensively. They have a lot of depth. They can roll in guys. They play with great speed, very, very physical. But the problem is, and even when John comes back, the question mark is, again, my concern is the run game. You win by having a great defense, having a great quarterback, and being able to run the football. Well, they've got two of the three. And then the third one, rushing the football, they are terrible at. They're no good. So it's going to be challenging. They're going to start playing, in my opinion, more consistently better quarterbacks in the SEC moving forward. And it's really going to challenge this defense, even though this defense will have a lot of success against people. But I just don't know if consistently OU will be able to continue to have the success that they're doing by just throwing the ball and not being able to run it. I'm just a firm believer that you got to be able to have a time of possession. You got to be able to move the ball. You got to get in second and sixes and second and fives and third and twos and third and threes instead of third and eights.
All right, last minute, Cale. Like obviously you played the position on the collegiate level. What's the most difficult thing for Michael Hawkins stepping in for John Mateer?
Probably the pressure because of, what, and Michael Hawkins has been he's played a lot of ball, not only here, but he played at a high level in high school and a lot of success. But again, if the Heisman voting was today, John Mateer would be the Heisman Trophy winner. And I would think everybody would agree with that. So it shouldn't even be close, to be honest. But I just think there's a lot of pressure. And the question is he going to be able to stay in this pocket consistently? The one thing the offensive line does do good for OU is they are very, very good pass protectors. They throw the ball the best. They can pass protect really good. But again, going through the gauntlet of the SEC and going against these defensive lines and these linebackers week in and week out, how are they going to be able to hold up?
Cale Gundy, everybody from the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City. I appreciate you, my man. And when you get here for the visit, we'll definitely run out and we'll grab some craft beers and we'll put it on our company. And that way we don't have to pay for anything.
Good. Sounds good, Terry. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate you. It's Cale Gundy, Sports Animal in Oklahoma City. We'll come back. Our buddy Langston Moore. We'll talk some Gamecock football with Langston next on the postgame show live from Savage Craft. Like I said, we are doing our Football Friday tailgate show live from Savage Craft. Hook it up with Southern Crown and Kreger Showrooms. We're live today. Come on out to Savage Craft. They got all sorts of stuff going on here. Outside is beautiful. Got the different things going on. You got all sorts of craft beers to choose from. You got the rooftop, which is really phenomenal. So come on out and enjoy the day at Savage Craft. A little happy hour action, or if you get off work, come on out as well. Lots of different beverage options available here at Savage Craft. Also, they got food you can eat. Menus awful good and tasty. And we will be moving to our little tailgate area at times with Kreger Showrooms in October. We'll be at Kreger cooking up some food and hanging around, and also having a little Savage beverage. And you can see all the great things going on at Kreger Showrooms in the Vista on Gadsden as well. So that is what we're doing today at Savage Craft. Talking Gamecocks and Wildcats with, man, I can't do the whole thing, Langston, like Jay. I can't go former Bengal, former Cardinal, former NFL defensive lineman, former collegiate defensive lineman, current author, current dad of a collegiate athlete, current media member following Howard University from stop to stop, writing a book about his season with the Bison. How's that sound, Langston Moore? Is that good?
I used to be. I think that just encompasses it all, because I'm always just a used to be.
You're a used to be.
But I'll take
I'm a
it,
has
man.
been. I never was a used to be, dude. So you're doing better than me. So good for you. Hey, all right. I was talking to Preston earlier today, and obviously, you and Preston both played for Lou Holtz at South Carolina, and I'll ask you the same question I threw at him. What was it like the following week after defensively you had a tough go, you missed a bunch of tackles, a team might have, got more rushing yards on you than they should have, and then you had to deal with Lou Holtz, defensive coordinator Charlie Strong. What was that next week like after a Saturday filled with missed tackles?
Well, when Preston got there, and again, he just got that Somerville glow, so he always skates by losing. So he wasn't there for the 99 season. And that was a little bit different because we got ran over by everybody, Kentucky included, during that time. And so I can tell you the switch was, after we got our behinds beat, everybody's really frustrated. Monday and Tuesday, it would literally just be scrimmages against each other and just killing each other. And then Wednesday, Thursday, we still got pads on because Lou Holtz is crazy. Mind the fact we still going to play a football game. So, we still got pads on Thursday. So, you might scale it back to not as much physicality, but what we learned from that year going 0 whatever to when Preston got there and we figured out a whole bunch of the switch made was, we went through those fundamentals in spurts the next year when we had all those wins. But the first year we just dogged each other out. And again, I think we talked about practicing and practice habits and some of the things that the coaches said early in this year. Like, there's a fine line between like the physicality and there's just some things you can't avoid. Tackling, just pass rushing, just a whole bunch of different things you can't. That's just what football is. It's kind of just like I saw a deal with Dan Campbell talking about, I hate to be the grind guy, but we got to get so many pad days and you got to get so many tackling days, even within the season. So the next year, to answer your question, it was just mad fundamentals every day. Lou's laws, football position. That's all you got to say to any guy that played in the Lou Holtz era football position, because that was the right to anything. You missed the tackle, you wasn't in football position. You blew your knee out, you wasn't in football position. You didn't break down and spit out of the way the tackle like you wanted to. You wasn't in football position before. Now there might be a little craziness to it, like your parents. You got to brush your teeth. Like there's one ism for everything, but there's kind of that's kind of a very true statement. You got to be able to just figure out a way to impart the physicality, because it is a long season, but you also got to know there were certain times you had to apologize as a coach. Like, man, we got to bang it. We playing Kentucky this week. Like, I don't think you understand. They're going to try to run that thing down your throat because that's what their pedigree is. So it's always interesting, but also always interesting to see the result the next week. Because again, that first year we spent all of our energy Monday and Tuesday because we didn't know how to win as a group collectively, beating up on each other as opposed to working on fundamentals and the things that helped us win. If I have one thing that I'm confident about, hopefully, is that Shane has these guys ready to go and focusing on the right things, the right fundamental stuff.
Former Gamecock Preston Moore. Hey, Preston Moore. I combined you and Preston. Langston Moore. Oh my God! Could you see that human being? Langston and Preston combined into some kind of AI thing. Wow! What have I done? What have I created? Langston Moore hanging out with
property of 107.5.
Langston, the other issue here were the penalties, and that has been an issue. And when you see these repeatedly, whether it's, not knowing the snap count or, procedural stuff or, hands to the face and all these things, some of them are mental, some of them are physical, some of them are more easily, I guess, I understand than others. When you have these many penalties, though, and it's so many different guys, what do you think would be the major, and again, you've been through this, what's the major issue when you are a team that commits a lot of penalties?
Well, the most disheartening thing, because again, I've been on a lot of losing teams and I've seen a lot of different ways to lose, some penalties, but like the biggest thing was I think like half of those penalties were all like pre-snap and post-snap, like means that it's just lack of concentration. Like you got to line as a defensive lineman. There's a reason the ball's there. Don't be offsides, but take as much of it as you can. Same way with the wide receivers, motion, different things like that, hands to the face, just all little things that could be easily correctable. Now, the pass interference, certain things, it goes back to that Lou Holtz thing. You wasn't in football position. That's why you out there grabbing, you out there, and this is again hilarious to see this man in a cashmere sweater and khakis every day of the week trying to show you how to do this. Dante Robinson, future first-round pick. But there's some truth to it. And so, the way to win football games and what we had to learn was, first thing was toughness, mental toughness, making sure you don't put yourself in bad situations, physical toughness as well. That comes without saying playing football. But the second thing is don't beat yourself. Don't have these penalties. It's fundamentals and don't beat yourself. And so those were the two biggest things with the penalties, easily correctable, but sometimes penalties can be like turnovers. Sometimes you can start getting hot with these turnovers, and man, they just come in bunches. And the same way with penalties. But Preston made a good point, and I think this is an ism across all, coaching deals or whatever. You either teach it or you're allowing it, and so you got to correct the other parts of all these penalties in practice. You got to have the referees out there, which I know they do. Maybe you got to have double. Maybe you got to have the referee and the coach saying, call the penalty anyway. From there, Lou Holtz's number one thing was it didn't matter. You always came out the game when you had a penalty come on you. So senior night, homecoming, it sounds kind of crazy, but it is really embarrassing. You don't want to be that person, especially if it's a crucial time in the game, you jump off sides. Now, just because it's a team rule, Lou Holtz ain't going to change it. We might just have to put the four-string defensive tackle in there because you wanted to jump off sides. That's your fault. You let the team down. And so, again, it just comes back to a mindset. But also, you got to figure out all types of ways to ratchet down those penalties because they're easily correctable, but they can come in bunches if you don't.
Langston Moore hanging out with us, former Gamecock, talking some Gamecocks. We'll come back. I will ask you, sir, how does South Carolina walk off the field with a W and pressure in September to win a football game? We'll get into that next here on the post-game show, hanging out live at Savage Craft in West Columbia till 6. It's a tailgate football Friday on the game. Men's Clinic of South Carolina, there for you. You're a guy, and again, you're not feeling right, but you don't want to talk to anybody because we're men, we're manly, we don't talk to anyone. It's going to be okay. I'll be all right. It's like usually with my car, I hear something, a noise in my car, I turn up the stereo. That's what we do. We just ignore. We turn up the stereo. We just move on. But it could be something just as simple as low testosterone. Nothing to freak out about. That's doable and fixable. But the start is to call 803-875-MENS. You set up an appointment at the men's clinic. You go see Dr. Dan and the staff. Just tell them your story, how you're feeling, what's going on with you. It's not right, whether it's lack of drive in life, you're weaker at the gym, you don't recover from exercise, you're not sleeping, you can't remember stuff, whatever it is, tell them. If they think it is low testosterone, they'll then do lab work and put you on a program that will get you back to feeling you again. 803-875-MENS. Make that call. Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Ed, you got me? Let's do it. All right, we're shifting things around here at Savage Craft. We moved outside to the cool deck where we will be. If you're on this deck, you just have to start sampling craft beer, Langston.
Man, tough job.
Just saying.
Ain't they paying you to do that? Jeez.
Yeah, you know the lucrative salary, which is equal to an NFL player, to do this.
Hey, you know, when you signed up, you're getting paid in promotional T-shirts and gift cards, and that was going to be the story of this whole radio gig. You can get all the promotional T-shirts you want.
You know what? I'll never forget the time I did fill-in work. I'm not going to say where. It was a bigger market, right? I thought, wow, fill-in work. Man, the money I'm going to get for this fill-in work to work in this big market, to do this stuff is going to be fantastic, right? And they go, yeah, we're going to send you a bunch of gift cards because we have a bar restaurant that you also have in your town, so we're going to pay you in these gift cards. I was like, really? Market Two's paying me in gift cards? Seriously? Anyway.
Man, $300 in Boston Market gift cards, man. Oh,
right.
Just don't let the lady see it when you slide it when you slide it up there. I'm just telling you.
Hey, the funniest part is they're all $10. It's the best part. Anyway. All right, my friend, Langston Moore, former Gamecock, hanging out with us here on a Football Friday, live from Savage Craft in West Columbia here on the game. Okay, so, we look at this, right now this team is 2-2. And they, a lot of expectation was 4-0, 3-1, whatever the case. How much does a player even care about that stuff once the season starts, Langston, with all that noise outside about expectations of where you should be and where you are and what's going on with you and the big picture and all that stuff? Are you just worried about the next opponent?
Yeah. You definitely, as a player, are worried about the next opponent, but you also feel the sand in the hourglass is ticking, especially if you're an older player or a guy like Lenoris or Dylan Stewart, who how many more games did you you have so much eligibility, but you had expectations, you had plans, you got the stock answer, but when you're in your dorm room at night, you're like, okay, man, maybe one more year or something. So the point is, the sand and the time is ticking on these guys, and so the urgency to try to get it going, because we did have Vanderbilt written down in ink, I would think. If we go around and check the promotional calendars that we give away, a lot of those that you see on these businesses, I think a lot of people put that in permanent marker. Vanderbilt, check. So that's not there anymore. So again, Missouri, I would say 60-70% of the folks that have been like, yeah, check. That's one we got to have early on. And then, of course, this one, Kentucky, we got this in the bag. And so with the other two things not happening right now, and then forecasting, seeing what's going on, it might be really bleak if we don't really get this SEC win here, because we might not get a chance to get another SEC win.
All right, Langston Moore, former Gamecock. How does South Carolina walk off the field at Williams-Brice with a W against Kentucky?
Stop the run. The biggest thing we could do is take it back to fundamental football. But again, how do we play fundamental football? So again, stopping the run, that's by committee, tackling, putting the emphasis to that. The worst thing we probably did was put a bunch of stuff on tape, and everybody's looking like, oh man, I want a piece of that. It's bad enough that Kentucky has one guy averaging a whole slew of first downs. You give him 2 carries, he has a first down. They got 2 of those guys. It's eerily similar to last week. And if, again, talking about the pedigree, Eric Walford, the ties, knowing what they want to do, Eddie Gran, look this guy up forever in infamy with Kentucky and the Wildcats, running the football, making the switch. JoJo Kemp running the ball relentlessly. As long as he is on this staff as an advisor, I don't care. That's what they're going to come in here and do. I don't care if they got a new quarterback coming, the old quarterback. They're coming in here to run the football and run it relentlessly down our throat. And I think this is where there's going to be the part where I think Stoops is going to see who's going to flinch. And again, we're 7-1 under the lights. Shane has his number. Stoops backtracked a lot of stuff, a lot of jokes he used to have. And again, rightfully so. You can't say nothing when you're getting beat. But he's going to come out there, I think, physically try to impose the will, because we put those things on tape. And until we put those things off tape with tackling and doing it consistently, it's going to be really rough. Next thing is Lenora Sells. We got to figure out some way. We don't have a run game really consistently. We haven't run Lenora Sells more than 10 times all season. And so we need to be running him like 10 to 12 times schematically a game, and then have maybe 5 to 6 maybe off script plays where he's running out there utilizing his legs. So again, if he's healthy, and as Preston Thor said earlier on in the show, we got the best dude in the country. We don't ask for what we want. We got to go. You go be that dude. Go take what you want. We need you to go do this. Do some of that. Have Nick Harbor serve as a semi tight end, a la Puka Nacua, smashing some guys with these crack blocks. I think we can really utilize some things with those pin and pulls on the perimeter with our run game that way.
Very nice, Langston Moore. I've only got a couple seconds. How many sacks does Micah Parsons get at Dak Prescott on Sunday?
Oh, man, I say 3 sacks and probably something stupid like 5 pressures. It'll be ridiculous.
I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for hopping in. We'll yap at you next week. Jay will be back.
For sure. Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother. All right, we are live here from Savage Craft in West Columbia. I got to find something to put in my coffee. I need liquor to put in my coffee. I'm just kidding. I couldn't do that on the air because we're here till 6. We can't do that. That's frowned upon. Well, you come on out and enjoy yourself. They have a lot of different craft beer and adult beverages to choose from. They got great food. So we will be here starting in the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to break down Kentucky, South Carolina. Let's look exactly what needs to be done Saturday night to pull a W. That's next on the postgame show. Check on the traffic in the Midlands. Accident reported 2 Notch Road at Rabun Road. Also, our long-term construction, I-20 between I-26 between exit 64 and 65 at Broad River Road, I-26 between Bush River Road and Old Sandy Run Road, and I-126 between Hugie and I-26. Mm-hmm. We are hanging here at Savage Craft up on the deck. It's really weird looking right now. Like to the right of us, it's beautiful and sunny and wonderful. To the left, look, the movie Twister. It's a nice Nice little half and half here. We're hoping to the left stays away, at least till 6, as we stay here in the beautiful area. That, by the way, it's picturesque to the right. Jeff Haley's sitting here. We don't let Jeff talk on the radio because he really can't complete sentences. But am I wrong? To the right is beautiful, and to the left looks like we got problems. And Jeff is saying, yep. We can't put him on the air again. There's legal reasons. We just can't do it. But anyway, so we are hanging here at Savage Craft. All right, look, we have, and we will be here till 6 on the post-game show. Terry Ford hanging solo today as Jay has a day off. He'll be back on Monday. All right, when you look at Kentucky, South Carolina, or South Carolina, Kentucky, one of the things we look at is, and we've talked about in the first hour of the show, you've got to stop Kentucky's run game, force Cutter Boley to beat you. The redshirt freshman quarterback, his first road start ever, and it's in the SEC at a very, what can be rowdy Williams-Brice Stadium. And that's the other part of this too, is I think a key is starting fast if you're South Carolina. Try to score on one of your early drives, get the crowd lathered up, get them excited, keep them in the game. Because again, Kentucky's job is to bore you to death. Run the ball, move the chains, run the ball, move the chains, run the ball, move the chains. Sort of like the same MO, not the same way schematically, but the same type of idea that Vanderbilt had and that Missouri had, but Missouri's players are better than Kentucky's. And Vanderbilt just runs a system of offense that is, it's very difficult to defend if you've never run into it before. And a lot of these South Carolina defenders had not dealt with it. And Missouri just, they first of all, they won at the line of scrimmage. Their O-line beat your defensive front. And then when you were in position to make a play, Hardy, the running back, just ran through your tackles. But Kentucky doesn't run a quirky system of offense, and Kentucky's players aren't as good as Missouri's, just being honest. So you got to stop the run game. You got to force Kentucky into second and third and longs. You got to make Cutter Boley beat you. And if that guy beats you, I guess you tip your cap out of frustration. But that's really the goal defensively, is to make that guy beat you. Kentucky's tackles aren't great at pass protection. The guards are better in the center. So you can attack with Dylan Stewart and also Brian Thomas. But let's just be fair here. Dylan Stewart's getting doubled constantly. Dylan Stewart's getting doubled in the locker room. He's getting doubled walking to the field. He's getting doubled going to get something to eat. He's getting doubled on the field. He is just getting doubled everywhere because teams aren't going to let Dylan Stewart come off the edge and wreck the game. They're going to give Brian Thomas his opportunity, whether it's Desu, whether whoever, Gear, all those guys are going to get their opportunity to come off the right side from the edge position for South Carolina. And if they can win, Kentucky will go, okay, we'll rather have them beat us than let Dylan Stewart in a one-on-one matchup destroy our tackles. You know, Preston brought up something while we're on Dylan Stewart real quick before we move forward. He was like, because we were talking about Micah Parsons in Green Bay and in Dallas and how, defensive coordinators moved Micah Parsons around to where, you never knew where he was going to line up. He might line up on the left side, the right side. He might line up at defensive tackle spot. He might line up as a linebacker, an inside linebacker. And that way, no one knows where he's at, and you can set up favorable matchups for him, and teams can't find him. And that way you get away from the, that obvious double team that Stewart's going to get off the edge. I thought it was a very interesting thought by Preston. And maybe that is something that you would consider, hopefully, if you're Clayton White, start to move him around the formation to where teams don't know where you're lining up Dylan Stewart. And that way Dylan Stewart can attack the defense from different spots positionally. Interesting thought by Preston. I was going to steal it because I thought it was such a good idea. I was going to say I thought of it, but I'm not going to lie. That was Preston's. I said, really good idea, man. Really good idea. So that defensively, that's really going to be your game plan. It's simple. Make Cutter Boley beat you. Very easy. Very simple. Other side of the ball, again, Kentucky can be had in the secondary on both levels, at the linebacker level and the DB level. There are plays that you can make offensively. Obviously, your offensive line has got to step up and protect Linares to let him get the ball out. Or Linares is going to have to, move around, whether inside the pocket or outside the pocket, to make some plays. But there are plays to be made against this Kentucky defense in the passing game. There just is. So you can take advantage of that. Kentucky's not as good defensively as they typically are. I mean, they're always going to be disciplined with Mark Stoops, but they don't have like dynamic playmakers on that defense. It really goes by, they'll be as good as their scheme. So you can do things against this Kentucky defense. Again, Missouri, Ole Miss scored 30 on them. But they're pretty much they play low scoring games, and that's the way they're set up. And defensively, they want to hold you to obviously under 30, under 20 in a perfect world, because their offense isn't built for a shootout. They're built for rock fights. They love rock fights. And so that's really where it's at when it comes to, Kentucky on defense. They'll bend but not break. They'll let you go between the 20s and force you to kick a field goal. That's kind of what Kentucky is about. Again, to bore you to death on both sides of the ball. And offensively, though, you can make some plays. And is this a game where we talk about it every week, do we see Lenora Sellers affect the game more with his legs? I don't know. We'll see whether it's, scrambling from the pocket or designed runs. I just feel like you're looking at an offense that really needs 16 to be 16. And to be got to have the ball in his hands, obviously a ton. And whether it's throwing it, running it, you're going to go where 16 takes you. And I'm not saying the running backs don't have to run the ball, because obviously you'd love to get Faison or, Attaway. You pick a running back. You'd love to get somebody going or the group going offensively running the football. You would love to do that in a perfect world. We'll see. But really at this point, it's all about Lenora Sellers. And the wide receivers, they were making some plays. Wide receivers absolutely were making some plays in the Missouri game. Ryan Rowe looked good. Really did. I mean, Dre Jacobs stepped up and was phenomenal. Nick Harbor, he's had some touches through the season where he's made some plays. The wide receiver group under Mike Furry, they've gotten some stuff going. And so if you're Lenora Sellers in the passing game, there's stuff there to do to Kentucky, but obviously you want to try to, in some way, shape, or form, attempt to run the football. But it's there against Kentucky if you can execute, don't commit a ton of dumb penalties, don't do all those things, and you could be fine on both sides of the ball. So that's really the way this thing can go to get that W. And we haven't even talked about special teams. South Carolina special teams have had some really good moments this year, obviously. With punt returns for touchdowns, you've had 3 of them. You blocked a kick. It's there for special teams as well. We just need to see consistency. This team has not put together a solid game in all 3 phases at the same time the entire season in any way, shape, or form. They just have not done it as of yet. Ed Bird, my friend, before we get struck by lightning out here on the deck at Savage Craft, wow, Rachel, who talked about the weather earlier? Do you know anybody who talked about the weather? Rachel raises her hand. All right, we're going to grab a little cut here. Let's go to Beamer from Carolina calls, Ed Bird. Let's get Shane Beamer's thoughts on the University of Kentucky on tape. Cut 1, sir, on today's list.
Yeah, athletic. They're they didn't have the season they wanted last year, but I think they're better. I know they're better than they were last year. They're more athletic. They have their system that they run on defense, and they have their system that they do on offense, and they're tough and they're physical and they don't beat themselves. And this year's no different. But you look at them; it's a veteran secondary. They've added they lost a lot of pieces up front on the defensive line, but they've replaced them with quality guys in the portal. They're big. On the offensive line, they're starting a redshirt freshman quarterback that's really talented, and then they're better. Everybody talks about some of the receivers they lost. They've got a really good receiving core, really good tight end core, and a running back that I was with at Oklahoma. That's really going to be a problem for a lot of teams in this league.
I mean, Caddis, the tight end, has been really a blocker for a long time. Now he's been making plays in the passing game, contested catches. I mean, Caddis has been a good player. So is Kentucky better than they were last year? Conceivably, maybe. And the other thing too, as it feels like there'll be a revenge tour against South Carolina this year. We saw it with Missouri, really with Vandy. Well, South Carolina, they went in to Lexington, Kentucky, and they punched Kentucky in the lower extremities for 4 quarters last year. Make no mistake. And one thing with Mark Stoops, Kentucky kind of reminds me a little bit of my high school. The slogan at my high school was lose the game, win the fight. Like if you lost the game, good, you just win the fight. And the police show up and things get ugly. Kentucky's almost like Mark Stoops. If you lose the game, Mark Stoops might not be happy, but he wants to at least take pride in the fact physically they came at you. they didn't beat you physically, they just beat you on the scoreboard. Well, last year, South Carolina beat them on the scoreboard, beat them physically, beat them mentally, beat them emotionally. I mean, they beat them every way possible. And that has to have been eaten at Stoops for a year. So add that to the mix for Kentucky coming into Williams-Brice on Saturday, possibly, as they look to try to pull a W against South Carolina. All right, injuries real quick. What we want to focus on, Judge Collier. We're going to get to cut two here, Ed. Judge Collier's been out since the Virginia Tech game. And at corner, look, I think Brandon Cisse is a good player. I think the other corner spot, Vakari Swain, I think could be a good player. I mean, he had a bunch of tackles last week. But Vakari Swain's still learning his way in coverage. Miles Norwood had some issues and some troubles in coverage. So getting Judge Collier back would be, I think, a really nice upgrade for the Carolina secondary, especially on the corners where Clayton White likes to play those guys on an island and man. Here is Shane Beamer talking about the health of Judge Collier. Again, cut two.
Yeah, Judge is a talented guy, and that was a big loss to not have him since the Virginia Tech game, particularly the way that we like to play defense, which is leave those corners out there on an island, and you're down one of your starters, Vakari Swain and Brandon Cisse and Miles Norwood, and those guys have done a good job in his absence, but certainly you want to get your full complement of guys back healthy, and hopefully we'll be able to get Judge out there some on Saturday night.
So you hope to see Judge Collier in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a snap count, whatever it is, on Saturday night across from Brandon Cisse. That's the hope. Again, Kentucky's not going to throw the ball all over the yard, but Cutter Boley has shown that he can hit a deep ball. So they'll probably test South Carolina deep with Ja'Cory Macklin and some of the other Kentucky receivers just to see if they can get that shot down the field with Cutter Boley when, maybe it's play action or whatever the case. But at some point, they are going to take a shot or two down the field just to, test the South Carolina secondary. Because, again, Cutter Boley has thrown the deep ball well at times in his limited snaps at quarterback. Let's get one more here. Speaking of Cutter Boley, let's get Shane Beamer last night on Carolina Calls, the Gamecock head coach, talking about the new starting quarterback at Kentucky. Cut through, Ed.
Yeah, talented. He can make all the throws. He's young. He played a lot against Texas last year at the end of the season, played against Louisville in their last game, and came in here this past season. He's a big, tall guy that can make all the throws, sits in the pocket, and he wants to throw the ball downfield. So he will certainly challenge our secondary and really challenge our secondary if we're not able to stop the run and do a good job against their running backs.
I believe some services did have Cutter Boley as a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. Local kid in the state of Kentucky, if my memory serves me again. It just doesn't anymore. Drank away too many brain cells in the early days. But, Boley does have a good arm. And if you give him time, he's going to take some shots down the field. He just is. We're sitting up here at Savage Craft. Now, as we sit, again, on the left, it looks like we could have a major weather episode. On the right, it's a beautiful day at the beach. It's very weird. Jeff, our staff meteorologist, Jeff Haley, thinks the severe weather is going to go in the opposite direction away from us, is what he thinks. And, of course, Jeff is AMS certified. You knew that, right, Rachel? He's a meteorologist. He has meteorological equipment in his car. He's a storm chaser. The Weather Channel has a restraining order against him. So Jeff does know weather, and Jeff thinks it's going to go away from us. So we will not get a massive, massive storm dumped on us as we sit here doing the show. Of course, I don't know who's less enthusiastic about that, myself or Rachel. Because Jeff's butt is in the car as soon as the rain starts. You know that, right? Jeff will not be with us. If the weather hits us, Jeff will not be here for support. We all know that. All right, we're hanging here at Savage Craft. We will come back. Justin Rowland from Cats Illustrated was it yesterday with the Gamecock Central guys in Tyler. We're going to pop a couple of pieces of sound from Justin Rowland to give us a little idea about Kentucky, specifically their running backs. We got that coming up next here on the post-game show. Terry Ford's here. I've got a mysterious cameraman who's doing a heck of a job. We got Jeff. We've got the folks from Kroger Showrooms. We've got Rachel. Ed Bird's back pushing the buttons. We got a lot of craft beer I can't drink till 6. We are here up until 6 here on the game. We are hanging here at Savage Craft in West Columbia. We're here till 6. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up with Savage Craft through the rest of the football season. And, of course, our buddies at Southern Crown and Kreger Showrooms as we get ready for a tailgate spectacular for the rest of the season. I mean, we're here at Savage Craft. In October, we'll be at Kreger Showrooms where we'll have our executive chef, Nikki, cook all through October. So we're going to invite you down. Matter of fact, we'll start at Nikki's going to start everything at her place. So I'll give you out the address and we'll start there. We'll enjoy food there and then we'll all move off to Kreger Showrooms for the big tailgate. She's looking at me right now, not very happy. The no is coming at me. But we're going to do some great stuff at Kreger Showrooms and with our buddies here at Savage Craft. We're here till 6. Lots of great food and beverages here at Savage Craft. All right, we're live at Savage Craft. It's a tailgate show on a football Friday with Savage Craft. We're going to partner up also with Southern Crown and with Kreger Showrooms. And we're going to do it up for the rest of the football season with some tailgate Fridays. We appreciate those folks very much. Okay, this pains me deeply. No one knows how deeply this pains me. To say Jeff Haley was God, that hurts. Oh, he was right.
Haley.
Oh, Rachel, call 911. I had to say Jeff was right. I'm feeling dizzy. Oh, by the way, Rachel said she felt the drop. I just take everything back. I said, Ed, start this whole thing over. In a race, I said Jeff Haley was right. Oh, so we're at Savage Craft. I've got the anonymous cameraman who's killing it here. We've got our friends from Kreger Showrooms hanging out here. Nikki's telling me the menu for her house for the big party. Jeff's here. Rachel, Ed Bird back at studio. We're just hanging here till 6 on the game. All right, so we look at Kentucky and we talk about the ways you win this football game. Because at the end of the day, this is just nothing else matters now. And we yipped with Langston Moore last hour. And Langston says, look, players can say, hey, we're just focusing on the next game. Coaches can say we're focusing on the next game. But in this world we live in of social media and internet, it's impossible to get away from the noise. Wow, you got to win this game. You know, you run out of mulligans. You've got to win this game if you have any hope to be what you said you were going to be to start the season. You're going to hear that noise everywhere. You can't get away from it. So these players and this coaching staff, everybody hears the sense of urgency in this Kentucky game, that you got to win it. It's almost as much a must win as you could ever have in September. They hear it. You just got to post a W against the Wildcats. So in that vein, we're looking at the ways you're going to win this football game today. Let's go to this cut, Ed Bird. We will go with Justin Rowland from Cats Illustrated. We're going to go with cut 12, Ed. Kentucky has a two-headed running back monster. They're averaging over 5 yards a carry combined. And if you don't tackle, and if you lose the line of scrimmage, you don't have gap integrity, you don't set edges, Kentucky will run the football down your throat, and all of a sudden you're in danger of losing a low-scoring slobber knocker. So let's get to this cut 12 again. Justin Rowland from Cats Illustrated talking about this two-back setup that Kentucky has.
Yeah, in the spring, I thought maybe Jamarian Wilcox was going to be the guy. He was their leading rusher last year, and he gave them some juice, but he's had some off-field issues, and he's not in the picture. But McGowan has been great. I mean, he's a very herky-jerky runner. He's a lot of arms and legs in his running, so he's not stopping on a dime. There's a lot of movement going on, but he can beat a fast linebacker to the edge, and he can break tackles in the tackle box. So he can do a little bit of everything. He's running extremely hard. He's come into this year with a lot to prove. If you remember somebody like Ray Davis, who transferred to Kentucky from Vanderbilt for his senior season, you can tell he's just got a chip on his shoulders this year. And he's a much more explosive and really overall talented running back than Kentucky has had probably since Chris Rodriguez. So I think he's a top 10. He's a top 3 or 5 SEC rusher right now, and he'll be in the running for some small conference recognition at the end of the year at this rate.
All right, so Seth McGowan, real quick. We'll focus on Seth. So far this year, averaging about 5.5 yards a pop, 3.1 yards after contact, 15 broken tackles. Again, this isn't Ahmad Hardy, but still, this is a guy that can break tackles if you don't wrap him up. He's averaging over 3 yards after contact and 5.5 yards on the season. He does his damage on the edges, left and right, on the left and right side, averaging almost 7 yards a carry around the right edge and over 5 yards a carry around the left edge. So that is Seth McGowan, and he'll be the focus mostly of what's going on because he's going to get most of the carries. But Dante Dowdell, also, he's averaging almost 6 yards a pop. Dowdell does some damage also running off a right guard where he's some big runs. A 79-yard touchdown run came off a right guard. So Dowdell is not the bruiser, only 4 missed tackles all year, but he's a guy that can maybe hit a home run if he gets a crease and, again, he breaks a tackle, or if you can't get the angle on him. So at the end of the day, that's where these two running backs are. So you're going to have to up front. Look, I know it's cliche and it's boring, but you just got to win at the line of scrimmage. Your big dudes have to beat their big dudes. It's that simple. And that's where this whole thing is going to start. And Kentucky, they might not be as good as they typically have been, but they still, look, they show up. They like a physical fight. they want a rock fight. They want to they want to get at you physically, and they want to make it down and dirty. You need to match their physicality. If not, like last year, South Carolina went past their physicality and laid the wood to Kentucky and imposed their will on Kentucky. So you got to do that again this year. You beat them in the physical battle because you're more talented than they are, especially at skill positions. But you've got to win the physical battle up front to beat Kentucky. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in a very close, tight football game in the fourth quarter. And you want to avoid that if you can. And again, I'll go back to getting off to a fast start. That's something I think you need to do in this football game to keep the crowd lathered up because, it's a long day of tailgating until you get to a 7:45 kick. Everybody's ready to get rowdy. Don't give them a reason to stop being rowdy. Let's get one more cut in here, Ed, real fast from our guy that covers the Kentucky Wildcats. Let me find my sheet here in front of me. Let's get to what to know about Cutter Boley, the quarterback. This will be cut 11, Ed, about Cutter Boley.
Yeah, so he's a pretty interesting quarterback. I mean, he had some prospect pedigree. He was a 4-star recruit, in-state kid. I honestly felt like I didn't obviously, share this with anybody at the time, but when you watch him play, it's like he would be a really good quarterback for Josh Heupel. He's big. He's got a big arm. He throws an outstanding deep ball. He navigates the pocket better and climbs the pocket better than you would guess when you kind of first watch him. He gets the ball out pretty quick for a guy with such a big frame. But he has a couple of times maybe trusted his arm too much. You see a lazy throw to the opposite sideline that should be a pick six, or maybe he doesn't see somebody in zone coverage. And so this game for Cutter, we know he can hit the deep ball, but it's going to be about managing situations. As an inexperienced quarterback on the road, can he keep them in favorable down and distance situations and avoid the negative plays? That's what it's going to be about for Cutter.
As we're listening to that breakdown of Cutter Boley, Stephen on our video chat brings up a great point. I think this is something that, when we're throwing out these conversations about Saturday, we always talk about run setting up the pass. You got to run to set up the pass, run to set up the pass. No, with this football team, maybe you pass to set up the run. Maybe in the script, which has worked out pretty well this year offensively, maybe you pass to set up your run. Maybe you if you can execute in the passing game, and Kentucky has to lighten up that box to account for your receivers and tight ends and backs in the passing game, maybe that loosens up everything where you can run the football. Stephen, it's an excellent point that has been brought up a couple times this week, but I'm glad you drove it home on the live stream chat. Maybe that's what you need to do because you're passing the ball much better than you're running it. I'll give you another one. The old 49er teams of Joe Montana and Bill Walsh, they threw to set up the run. And they did. They were so precise in the passing game, and Montana would just cut you apart with Dwight Clark or Freddie Solomon or Jerry Rice, Russ Francis, the tight end, the backs catching the football, that all of a sudden you were so tied in knots to stop the passing game. Then all of a sudden San Francisco said, oh, you're trying to stop our passing game. We're now going to run the ball. So maybe that's kind of what you do if you're South Carolina. You pass to set up the run. Excellent point, Stephen, on the live stream. All right, we are hanging out here at Savage Craft. Our camera guy is so good. I want to start. I feel like that I have a professional camera guy. I feel like that's what I've got right now. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I love it. All right, we're at Savage Craft. We're going to be hanging out here up until 6 o'clock on the game. Oh, we got a couple accidents. Dutch Fork Road, Highway 76 near US 176 Broad River Road. Also St. Andrews Road at Bush River Road. Two Notch at Raban Road and US 178 at I-20. And, of course, we always have our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful areas of construction through the Midlands. I will get back in here on the post-game show. We've talked a lot about South Carolina, Kentucky. Let's look at what else is going on in the SEC and Top 25 this Saturday on the post-game show. Terry Ford, Jay will be back on Monday. We're live from Savage Craft in West Columbia here on the game. All right. We are hanging at Savage Craft in West Columbia up on the cool rooftop deck. It seems like the weather is passing us by, just like meteorologist Jeff Haley said. So we're feeling really good as we are hanging here till 6 here at Savage Craft. Again, so many great craft beers and other beverages to choose from. Also, a fine menu if you want to grab some food too. I mean, it seems like the weather, it's okay. We've got a little wind up here, but it's nice. Feels good. Feels good. We got our anonymous cameraman doing a fine job. I feel like I should be posing like I'm a model or something. I should be throwing out some lips and stuff. This camera work is so first rate by my buddy here, Kilgore. So I should have said Kilgore. I've given you away, Kilgore. I'm so sorry. So anyway, we are here. We're going to be doing Tailgate Fridays with Savage Craft and also Kreger Showrooms as well through the rest of the football season. So we're looking forward to all that fun. All right, so we'll get back to South Carolina and Kentucky here in a couple minutes. By the way, Gamecocks 5.5-point favorites last time I checked against the Cats. All right, so we got a big one in the SEC, Alabama and Georgia. The game is in Athens. Bama, look, this is tough to say. If you're Alabama, it's probably not in your best interest to lose this game. Then you'll have 2 losses. You've kind of really gone through, you feel like your mulligans, maybe a 3-loss SEC team can get in the college football playoff. But if you're Alabama, because basically, I mean, you got boat raced in Tallahassee by Florida State. So it'd be good for you to go into Georgia and win, which obviously is not easy in any way, shape, or form. Interesting part about this game real quick is Alabama can't run. Remember old Nick Saban and all those backs, and you're running the football, and Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram and all those dudes, and Alabama can't run the ball now. They got to throw it everywhere. And Georgia, though, they were susceptible to the passing game against Tennessee. And Ty Simpson, the Bama quarterback, Wisconsin is not what Wisconsin used to be. And I think Alabama played like, I can't remember, like the Alabama carpentry school or whoever they play. But Ty Simpson's been really good lately. The last 2 weeks, Ty Simpson's been almost perfect throwing the football. Ryan Williams woke up last week against Wisconsin. Bama's got receivers. If Simpson can play anywhere near the level that he's played the last 2 weeks against a Georgia defense that has given up some stuff in the passing game, Alabama could, they could do some damage. But the flip side is this. Florida State was successful against Alabama basically by just punching them in the neck, running the ball right at them. Alabama was, their run defense was god-awful against Florida State. So if you're Georgia, you got backs, you got offensive linemen, you got tight ends, line it up and just run it down Bama's throat until they prove they can stop it. It's going to be an interesting game. Which team can do the thing that they can do to the other team better? It feels like that's the team that'll win the game. I think Georgia wins because, again, the game is in Athens. And I know Kirby Smart's had his troubles beating Alabama, but, again, Nick ain't walking through that door. So I think Georgia does win against Alabama in Athens. Other big game nationally will be Oregon going to Happy Valley to play Penn State. This is a top 6 matchup. Oregon number 6, Penn State number 3. This is the interesting part of this football game. If I said to you, one team's at home, one team's got veteran running backs who are really good, brought in some talented receivers in the portal, has a really good offensive line, has a spectacular defense with one of the best defensive coordinators in America, and Oregon is going from West Coast to East Coast to play this game, you would say, duh, no brainer. The team in the East, who's number 3 ranked in the country, is going to win. But it's Penn State. Oregon, you might be able to run on Oregon. And Oregon has not gone up against this kind of physical offensive line and running game that they're going to face against Penn State. And again, it's a whiteout in Happy Valley. Like 300,000 people will be in that place, sitting on each other's lap going crazy. Penn State, in all logic, should win this game. There's one problem. James Franklin's the head coach at Penn State. Forget top 5 teams real quick. James Franklin, since he has been at Penn State, has won 3 games against top 10 teams. That's it. That's all. And 2 of them were bowl games. The only regular season home win against a top 10 team in the James Franklin era was against Ohio State. When Ohio State was number 2, I believe, in the country. 2016, I believe it was, with Trace McSorley and some guy named Saquon Barkley was at Penn State. That's the only time Penn State at home has been a top 10 team. That's it. And here's the flip side. Dan Lanning, on the road against top 10 teams, in his short resume and short time in Oregon, it has not gone well. They've only won 1 game against a top 10 team on the road. So everything will point to a Penn State win, except James Franklin doesn't beat really good teams. So for me, when everything tells you and screams, pick Penn State by what can happen on the field, the fact that James Franklin's the head coach at Penn State tells me I should take Oregon. I know it makes no sense, but until James Franklin can actually start beating really good football teams, I don't care if it's home, on the road, on a neutral field, in Dan Lanning's backyard, I don't care where, until that can happen, you've got to look at Oregon until, again, James Franklin can prove you otherwise. And again, 1 loss for either one of those teams isn't going to kill them in the college football playoff race. It's just not. Not going to happen. But those are the 2 big signature games that we're going to see come Saturday. There's some other interesting games as well, don't get me wrong, that could be some fun. In the SEC, Arkansas hosts Notre Dame. Last year, Notre Dame had a great defense, and their offense put you to sleep. This year, Notre Dame's defense can't stop anybody, and Notre Dame's scoring points all over the place. But they're losing games. Notre Dame cannot go to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and lose. But Arkansas, for 3 quarters, Arkansas plays you really tough. And then the 4th quarter, Arkansas says, you know what? We're being really rude, beating up on you. Why don't we let you win the game, and we'll help you? I think Notre Dame wins in Fayetteville. Would it surprise me if Arkansas hung around? Of course not. Of course not. But Arkansas has had trouble stopping the run, and guess what Notre Dame can do really well? Run the ball. So I think Notre Dame wins. But again, Uncle Sam and his crew will put a scare in you. Absolutely. Other game that's interesting is Auburn at number 9, Texas, A&M. Auburn, all of a sudden, they got a quarterback who's playing well, and they're a better football team. Wow, how about that? A&M, it's not November, so A&M is playing well. It's going to be a very interesting football game. A&M gives up a lot of big plays. Auburn doesn't really make a lot of big plays, though. And the flip side is A&M has been making big plays on offense, but the Auburn defense has been stout. I think A&M at home wins the game. If the game was on the Plains, I'd probably pick Auburn. The game is at Texas A&M, so I'll take the Aggies in that one. So it's a very interesting weekend of college football, and we've got some more to get to in the 5 o'clock hour as well. We are live at Savage Craft. We are hanging out here up until 6. It's a Friday tailgate show on a Football Friday on the Game. We are live from Savage Craft. Remember earlier I gave Jeff Haley, our staff meteorologist, a lot of love because it looked like the weather was going past us. Well, not so much. If you're looking at our live stream, we got some wind going. It's getting a little dark. Kilroy, our crack photographer, cameraman, is getting this for us. And it looks like that little weather coming. So Jeff was wrong, basically. So we will never listen to our meteorologist, Jeff Haley, ever again. So, all right, we are hanging here talking a lot of South Carolina, Kentucky. 5.5-point favorites are the Gamecocks at home. We get everything started. Gamecocks game day, 2:30 from Jay's Corner, right across from Willie B tomorrow in Columbia. We go till about 4:30. The network takes over at 4:30. Then we pop kickoff at 7:45 on 107.5 The Game in Columbia and our affiliate in Myrtle Beach, 100.3 The Game. All right, so that is what's going on Saturday for us. And then, of course, we'll have our post-game show on the YouTube channel with our buddy Elijah Campbell and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central and the Extra Point here on The Game. All right, Shane Beamer on Carolina Calls last night with Todd Ellis. Let's start talking a little Lenora Sellers because obviously that's been a huge topic of conversation. Ed, let's go with Cut 5. Shane has been asked about the plan for Lenora Sellers. Is the plan the same? Is there more maybe designed runs, more RPOs? Is he 100% healthy from the hit he took against Vanderbilt so he can go out there and run the football? What is going on regarding Lenora Sellers and the game plan? Hit it, Ed.
No, we want to be able to do both. We want to be able to hand the ball to our running backs. We want to be able to let Lenoris carry the ball, and we need to be able to sit in the pocket and throw the ball. And we did a nice job with that the other night. The protection issues, our sack issues were more on not the offensive line the other night. We did throw the ball downfield, so that's a positive. As I said at the beginning of the show, our passing game and our explosive passing game, that's something that we need to build upon, not turning the ball over. We need to build on that. But we need to run the ball better, one with our running backs. But when we ask Lenoris to also, he needs to be able to. And then we've got to be good around him. The drive that I was referring to with 6 minutes left in the game, the first play of the drive was a design quarterback run. And then on the perimeter, we don't block anybody. And it turns into about a 1 yard run, which should have been at least, second and 4 or 5 at a minimum. So we've got a lot to clean up there, but nothing has changed. Certainly always cognizant of Lenoris' health and what we're asking him to do. And he feels great and is in great health, and there's no limitations there. So we need to make sure that it starts with running the ball with our running backs, but being able to do the same with him also.
All right. Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, and Shane breaks down one of the plays where, again, Lenoris is going to run the football. You need blocking by the receivers out on the edges because, again, for that play to pop, you need the receivers to. And look, you watch football. Receivers blocking is just getting in the way. A lot of times it's just like basketball. You're just kind of like boxing a dude out. You get in their way. That way Lenora Sellers has a lane or the back has a lane. We always talk about offensive line blocking. The offensive line got pushed all over the place in the run game against Missouri. No one's going to say it didn't. But, again, receivers have to block. Tight end has to block. The backs have to block. We talk about Faison blowing the block first and goal at the 2. They end up being a 13-yard sack because Lenoris didn't get rid of the ball. These are the things that do go on. It's not just all offensive line. Yes, the offensive line's got to get better, and you're going to be missing 2 offensive linemen because of injuries. That doesn't help the depth of the O-line. But, it's more than just the offensive line blocking. Most of your long runs pop because receivers and tight ends are blocking down the field. So that's another part of this is how consistent are the receivers blocking in the run game. Nick Harbor, he blocks. One thing I say about Nick Harbor, you watch some of the successful runs South Carolina has had this year, you'll see number 8 throwing a block. When Oscar Attaway's run last week in the Missouri game, it was one of the longest runs of the game. It was only like 5, 6, 7 yards. Nick Harbor came in and had a really nice pin down block. Can't be called a crackback, but a pin down block coming in and hitting the edge guy to break Attaway for that gain. So it's more than just having the offensive line get better, and they got to get better. But the other part of it is that the other folks on the offensive side of the ball also have to block consistently. So interesting stuff there from Shane. But with Linares, we keep hearing that they're not telling him not to run the football, but things just haven't been what they were last year. And part of that is defenses are trying to stop Linares Sellers from doing the stuff he did last year. So you now, as an offensive brain trust, okay, how do we adjust to what they're doing to stop Linares? And part of that is, other guys got to get involved. Last week in the passing game against Missouri, one way you make a team pay, big plays down the field, passing the football, chunk yards in the passing game. Then all of a sudden, things start to loosen up because if they're taking away one thing, they can't take away everything. All right, we'll come back. We'll hit the 5 o'clock news, sponsored by our buds Integrated Media. We are hanging here on the deck at Savage in West Columbia. Come out, have a craft, have some food. We're here till 6 here on the game. I'm here. All right, a check on the traffic. We have some accidents. Dutch Fork Road, Highway 76 near US 176 Broad River Road. I-20 eastbound right before Longs Pond Road. That's exit 51, by the way. St. Andrews Road at Bush River and US 76 Broad River Road near I-26. Also US 178 at I-20. And, of course, we still have construction. I-126 between Hugie and I-26. I-26 between Bush River Road and Old Sandy Run Road and I-20. Between 26 and 20, exit 64 and 65. We'll come back, give you the 5 o'clock news, sponsored by our buddies at Integrated Media. And do not forget, tonight, high school football scoreboard show, Elijah Campbell, Justin Hall, and just a cast of thousands as we go across high school football in the Midlands. Again, that's tonight, starting at 7 and running till 11 on 107.5 The Game in Columbia. All righty. Time to do the 5 o'clock news as the rain has started here on the deck at Savage. And I want to thank Nikki for getting video footage of what's about to happen to me. So we have video proof when I'm in the hospital after I get struck by lightning. So, and obviously she has been so kind to say, Terry, for half of it, I'll be a witness for half of your settlement. So thank you so much, Nikki from Kreger Studios. Thank you so much. All right. So we are hanging here and we're going to go till 6 o'clock, maybe indoors. We'll see here at Savage Craft in West Columbia. All right, 5 o'clock news sponsored by our Buds Integrated Media. Let's turn back real quick, Ed Bird, to South Carolina and Kentucky. 5.5-point favorites are the Gamecocks. All right, offensive line is a thing. We've been talking about it. There's 2 injuries. Kason Henry and Nolan Hay both will be out. So how does the South Carolina offensive line depth set up? Let's hear from Shane Beamer, cut 4, Ed, from the coach.
And then as far as the confidence goes and the next man up mentality, I'm very confident. We've got a lot of guys on that offensive line. We don't have a lot of depth. I mean, when you look at our scholarship situation there, we don't have the number of guys on scholarship on the offensive line that ideally you would like. But we do have a lot of guys that have played football for us on the offensive line. And our guys, our coaches do a nice job of working guys at different spots and giving them position flexibility. So we'll be okay there. Obviously, we don't have a lot of depth, and that's a concern. But I like the group that will be trotting out there on Saturday night to compete against a really good Kentucky front.
All right, so offensive line-wise, you know, again, Shane was asked by Todd Ellis, what I thought was interesting. Todd said, so you got your offensive line combination? And Shane was like, yeah, we kind of know where we're going. And then Todd's like, so you want to tell us on the air? And, of course, Shane was like, I really don't want to give that away. But so here's the guess. The best guess is this. I'm guessing that we could see maybe Rodney Newsome come out and play center or guard. Newsome, to his credit, after struggling early in the year, Newsome was much better in the game against Missouri. So it was good for Newsome that he improved he played center. He'd been playing guard, been much better at center against Missouri. So maybe Newsome plays center or guard. Boaz Stanley will either be center and guard. To be honest with you, Boaz Stanley's been solid in pass protection, but has struggled with blocking in the run game. So maybe you put Newsome at center, you move Stanley to guard because Newsome was better at center than he was at guard. Shed Surratt, also the freshman, has had some good moments and some not so good moments. So we'll see what goes on there. And, you know, Trovon Baugh has really been the second best offensive lineman on the team this year. So where does he fit into this whole thing? So we'll see how South Carolina's thing regarding the offensive line and tackle. In no case in Henry, I'm guessing Tree Babalati will go at right tackle. Josiah Thompson will be the left tackle. That's kind of the way it feels. Now, depth-wise, you know, we just went over, 6 guys, I guess. And we'll find out where this whole thing goes moving forward. But South Carolina, the depth has been strained on the offensive line with 2 guys out. So that's what's happening. One of the things we'll focus on one more cut from Shane Beamer, Ed Bird, real quick. We'll go to Let's go back to Melon Balls. Let's go discussing RPOs. RPOs, talk about RPOs constantly, the run-pass options.
In regards to the RPOs, I'd say it's more of a clock / combination. Is that window open or is it not open? You know, a lot of it obviously is done pre-snap where it's an RPO and he's looking to see what coverage they're in and are they in the coverage if there's a chance that we're going to throw this RPO. And if it is, it's one of those, it's there right now or it's not. The Virginia Tech game, the second play maybe to Nick across the middle was an RPO. That's a good example of it where, you know, if he doesn't hand it off, it comes open right now, bang, bang, and you throw it. And then, but that's essentially it, yes. I would say clock, but more so there's a window, it's there, throw it, it's not, I got to do something else with the ball.
So, you know, the option of, you know, you're going to run, you're going to throw. And then that's that decision made by the quarterback. Are you going to give it to a running back? Or are you going to throw it? Are you keeping it? Are you going to throw it? There's so many angles, different angles when it comes to the RPO game for the North-South. All we know is that the offense it feels different, it looks different, it has been different. You know, you got to score more points than you've been scoring consistently in the FCS. You just do. You're averaging 30 points. And South Carolina's weird right now. If you're playing Saturday, nowhere near 8. So if you could get this offense going, that would be a real step in the right direction moving forward. Again, I don't have a big exclusion in Kentucky because they play on both sides of the ball, but just wanted nothing else, more efficient offense to maybe establish something with the run game. Just have the offense successful and just have a better look as you move forward. And also, he's talking about the media. Well, he's only looking at the rider. The 45th rider that's flag in State New York. The Americans down 1. Rough day. A very rough day in the opening session. The offense not matching. Almost no deficit, but the U.S. won. And so that's a hole, an absolute hole. And the Americans, lost a home match, and it's been a bit. And the bigger picture, I guess, because once you added, talking to Chris McDonald yesterday, Jay and I, and just ever since you added the Europeans into the mix with the U.S. and the Brits, you know, it's been a tougher time for the U.S. And the idea that, you know, the Heroes look more with teamwork, and they are a team, and they, you know, it's a whole different team field in the U.S. Their league offers a much more individual fights. It's not so much rah-rah team with put on cheerleader outfits and, you know, do one flipper speeches. And whatever the case may be, you know, the U.S. has clearly fallen behind the Europeans in the Ryder Cup. And you have to step back at some point and go, okay, do we care enough about this thing to figure it out? Or do we be playing every, you know, for 4 years? If we win, we win. If not, who cares? Move on. You got to make a decision and a choice. So it's tough. Teams, by the way, that have won at least 3 points in the first session have a 7-1 record in the Ryder Cup in 2019. And plus, you're taking out the home out advantage at that page. It's just been a tough go for the Americans so far at the Ryder Cup. Again, after one session. That's where this has been going for the Ryder Cup. For the NFL this weekend, we talk about the college football weekend. The NFL weekend, the interesting game is in Dallas. Obviously, Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers show up. Obviously, if you don't know the story, Micah Parsons is one of the best edge defenders in the NFL at game record. As a Dallas Cowboy, until traded to the Green Bay Packers, because Parsons and Jerry Jones just put on a contract. So now Parsons is an ex-Dallas Cowboy, and his Packer squad will be rolling into Dallas. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. Look, when you just think the Cowboys are going to sneak it up to play better than when the Cowboys you think are heavily focused on no problem winning, they sneak it up. That's kind of who the Cowboys are, the way they've become under Jerry Jones. I think Green Bay comes in and wins, but Dallas hangs with them a bit. But the Cowboys, make no mistake, the Cowboys are who they are in the Jerry. We talk about it all the time. Green Bay, last week, the head scratcher lost to the Cleveland Browns. Everyone, even the Cleveland Browns were still going, how we beat them. But in a long NFL season, you're going to have games where you just, like a better soil yourself. And that's really what Green Bay Packers did in Cleveland against a really good Browns team. So I think Green Bay bounces back against Dallas. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys stay out, maybe the whole, maybe 3 quarters. But I think the Packers win. The Packers are a hell of a football team. But in this world we live in, the hot take, after 2 weeks, Green Bay, no doubt, is going to win the Super Bowl. Hell, put the Lombardi Trophy at the Packers complex after 2 weeks. But after that loss to the Browns in Cleveland, all said, well, maybe the Packers aren't as good as we think. Well, maybe this about the Packers, that about the Packers. Maybe it's just a long freaking season if you're going to have games like that in the NFL. I think the Packers are going to be fine. I think they're going to fight with the Eagles in the NFC when it's all said and done. So I think that the other big game, Ravens, Chiefs, and Kansas City. Both of them are 1-2. You know, if either one lose, it's at the end of the world. Does it kind of put you behind an 8 ball? Yeah. Because, you know, wisdom says you got to win 10 or 11 games to make the playoffs in the NFL. And, you know, to win your division, the AFC North, seems like you could be a 10-win team in the AFC North. You're not going to be a 10-win team and win the AFC West. So it almost feels like both teams, it'll be a good idea to win this game, not to fall to 1-3. But I think for Kansas City, it's more important. Defensively, they're putting that offense, man. It's not right. It's just not right. And I know you're watching back, or he's got to get back. You got to get Rice back. And once they get, you know, one different receiver, make the offense will take off. They're just, they didn't scare you. You know, he was playing differently on defense with 2 high safeties. There's no Tyreek Hill. Defense, massive prime. They're just not the same team. And offensively, they're struggling. Patrick Mahomes. And I just think Kansas City, you know, the Ravens, their defense is looking bad. They've also played some high-powered offense. I think the Ravens have a better chance. It feels like the eyeball to get the crap together. But Kansas City, they get the wide receiver back. No one thought these teams would be 1-2. It isn't, and both do have questions they got to figure out moving forward because both will look at as Super Bowl contenders. And right now, neither one of us are Super Bowl contenders. All right, there is our integrated media 5 o'clock news. We're hanging here at Savage Craft. It's a little rain going, but we are now underneath the roof. So I think we're safe from the weather, but still, come on out. There's plenty of places to hang here and have a good craft beer, or you know, have yourself something to eat, chill out, have a good time. You know, the Friday night happy hour crowd is kind of moseying over in here. Craft, come on in. We're going to hear the folks hanging out. But you come on out here as long as they're open. Enjoy yourself at Savage Craft. We're doing our tailgate shows along with Frederick Showrooms, and then we're just going to have a good time for the football season. Thanks to those folks. So it is the post game show with Terry Ford. We'll come back. We're checking back up an interesting interview with John Strickland, the former NFL offensive lineman. So there's on show, Bill and Tyler, they had some really good talks about the South Carolina offense. And try to re-rack that. We'll see if not that glad into the impact. We'll have that discussion on the post game show here on the game.
Okay, so you got it? Okay, I'm going to come back and intro it, Ed, so people know what we're doing, so they're not going to finish. The only thing they need to say is
Well, we always do thank our good friends at Craigor Showrooms, formerly The Nest. What they do to help us out, they're here to help us out for our equipment show. And look, you want to get help out with your health because it's the biggest investment in your life. And you want to bring some real appliances, you want to reach kitchen, whether it's stove, range, microwave, refrigerators, freezers, wine rack, whatever it is. Guess what? They have it at the showrooms. Maybe you want to redo the bathroom. Oh, that's cool. It's a good time. Craigor Showrooms can help you out with that. Heating, fixtures, plumbing. Expert 70-year experience. Just call them. 339-2020. Here's what I want to do. They have experts for everything. And they'll put you in touch with an expert. You tell them your budget and your vision goals will make it happen for you. Again, Craigor Showrooms for The Nest. 803-978-2025.
Rachel, you see my dumb phone today.
All right, we are hanging here at Savage in West Columbia. Come on, it's lots of great crab beer. Where they have a frozen wine. It's like a Slurpee thing. And again, I can't taste it because I'm on the air, and I really can't do that because the guy that runs the radio station, prude, that guy. But if I were to try, I would definitely try a frozen wine, a Slurpee looking thing. It's supposed to be really good. So come on out, craft beers, other beverages, great food as we have happy hour going on right now here at Savage. We're here till 6, but the party just keeps going till they close here at Savage in West Columbia. All right, John Strickland was on the halftime show with Bill and Tyler. Had some really interesting points about the offensive line, and we're going to re-rack that for you right now for our Gamecock Notebook here on the post-game show. Hit it, Ed.
Talking a lot of South Carolina, Kentucky, the importance of this game. And joining us now, our offensive line guru with, boy, is this I've really never looked at this on Twitter, Mr. Strickland. Was this a glamour shot that you're using for your Twitter profile picture?
Man, I think that picture was from Tyler 610's wedding. I think that's what it was from.
Whew, the shirt collar is open. The hair looks beautiful. I tell you what, that is a man right there ready to show off on a Twitter picture. Good to have you. How you been lately? I hadn't caught up with you.
Yeah, doing good, man. Glad you're back in Adam. But yeah, just same old, work and all that fun stuff.
Well, let's talk about 4-game sample size, and I'm going to go big picture and not narrow it down just yet. But you watching this offense and just everything from play calling to running back performance to blocking. We'll get to the purely just offensive line in a second. But let's just what you have seen strictly from this offense through the first 15 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny about it? I go back and I watch every game and just kind of study the film on it. And, it's just been a guy here, a guy there, just not doing their job. And it caused us to, not perform as needed. I will say this. I thought Coach Schuler's game plan last week was a good one. I loved a lot of the play calls. There were 2 passes if North is not getting hit last week that are 50-plus yard touchdowns. And I know a lot of people doesn't talk about the one, but there was one where it looked like he almost threw an interception to the linebacker, but really we had a guy streaking down the left sideline wide open with nothing but green grass. That's where he was throwing the ball, but he gets hit in the back as he's trying to throw it. So he can't get the ball out clean. But I thought the play calling last week was actually really good.
From a Gamecock, John Strickland joining us here in the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the offensive line. And we talked so much about that group and how much continuity and gelling together matters. And going into this weekend, 2 of the guys that started on the O-line last week, with Nolan Day and Case Henry going to be out. So we're going with a different starting 5 combination. From an individual player standpoint, what does that stuff look like during the week, preparing for a different combination of guys on your starting 5 compared to the week before?
Well, like last week, you had Boaz over the right guard. You're going to do something. Jason goes out hurt on the first play, so you have to bring in 3. So right there, you already got 3 new guys, or at least 1 guy in the different spot, 2 new guys in who haven't been practicing with the 45. And then Hay goes down, and then you have Lucius in the center. So that does create problems. But, throughout the week, you got to build that continuity. And I know that's what they're working on this week, obviously with Kaysen being out. Does Boaz get a center this week? Trevon should be back. So who knows how it's going to look. But the whole thing about offensive line is knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses, being able to communicate. And I haven't seen, enough good of it. And, it's just not offensive line blocking. I mean, I could go down a list where tight ends. There was a run last week. Oscar, guard pulls. Oscar probably has a 12 or 15-yard game, but the tight end gets beat by number 40 from Terry Trotter, and we get hit for a 3-yard loss. So it's just little things here and there, and guys got to do their job. I think that's what we struggled with the most this year on the offensive line is getting our double teams on our zone blocking, coming off and picking up the linebackers. You can go back and look at the first quarter last week. We got linebackers running through, and that's what's causing, lost yardage plays. And it's tough to convert 3rd and 10 every time. That's why third down percentage is not good this year because they're just smoking holes.
Former Gamecock John Strickland, who will be our offensive line guru here on this program. A few minutes left for him. Let me ask you this. You've watched this for 4 years. I say 4 years a lot, it's usually 5 years total now. Do you see differences? Are you seeing the same things, the same issue year after year after year?
No, because actually, I thought the pass pro last year struggled, but I thought the run blocking was pretty darn good. And I think Rocket was able to show that through a lot of the yardage he got last year. So it's almost the opposite this year. I think the pass pro has been showed up pretty good in the past 2 games. But it's like we can't seem to get out of our own way here when it comes to the running game. And like I said, not all offensive line, it's not all tight ends. I mean, receivers got to do a better job blocking in the perimeter. Running backs need to keep holes better. I thought there was a couple of runs the running backs missed last week. Obviously, the sack down at the goal line was kind of on the running back, rushing on his block. So it's not all offensive line play, just so we're all clear.
We have obviously a lot of focus on Josiah Thompson going into year 2 as a starter, hoping to see a tremendous jump after, he had some struggles last year. What have you seen out of him, and what can change and improve mid-season with a guy like that playing what's probably the hardest spot at left tackle in the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Josiah, and he'd probably tell you this, hadn't gone the way he's wanted it to go, right? I think he struggled a little bit. And what that reason is, I don't know, because I'm not in the building every day knowing what you guys are talking about and going over. But it seems at times maybe he's playing not to make a mistake instead of just firing off the ball and playing loose and know your job and get it done. So maybe that's a little bit of it. Maybe he's a little unsure on some things. But that's the things you got to clean up. And one thing about an offensive lineman, you should study film and that playbook and know it like the back of your hand every snap. And that way that allows you to just go play free and not worry about, oh, man, am I blocking this guy or is it double teaming? Just whatever it is, your mental has to be just as strong or probably stronger than your physicality, because when it is, it allows physicality to come out.
Again, he's John Strickland. About 3 minutes left with him, and certainly we'll get him in studio here in the very near future. Day he's got for us. What I do want to ask you, from what you've seen, and we go into Game 5, and I just focus on the offensive line. I know you said it's the tight ends, it's the running backs, it's the whole operation. But those 5 guys, that offensive line, is this fixable this year? Is this fixable, or is this, hey, this is who they are, this is what they are right now?
Well, the thing that worries you is you're 4 games in and you're having a lot of mistakes. So, that kind of leans toward it is what it is. But are the mistakes that are being made fixable? 100% they are. So, you got to clean those up. You can get them cleaned up. I mean, I think this offense is you can really get but you just got to get these mistakes cleaned up. And if they can do that, they can improve. But it's just been a lot of the same stuff over and over for these past couple of weeks.
And again, real quick, about a minute. Those mistakes, is it just not knowing the scheme, you think? Is it not strong enough? Is it playing with lack of confidence?
I wish I could put a, pinpoint on it and say this is what it is. But when you're not coming off of double teams and zone unblocking and picking up a linebacker, it's hard to figure out what those guys are thinking and what that issue is, because, that's the fundamental, fundamentals of playing offensive line is chipping up with each other, double team, and working for the linebacker. And it just seems like we're just not picking up these linebackers coming through. And I don't know if it's I'm not going to say it's lack of talent, because I've seen all these guys play during the spring and during fall camp. So I don't know what it is. They got to get it figured out. They got to find out Why is the academy?
John, we appreciate it. I look forward to catching up with you soon. I know it's Friday. You're still ready to start the weekend, but we will have you here in the studio in the very near future.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend.
That's what Gamecock football. And Tom Strickland now some of the Gamecock offensive linemen in the NFL, obviously for a good period of time. On the halftime show, and Tyler will come back. Driving on the SEC is next. Here on the post live from Savage in West Columbia on the game. I guess we are hanging here live to show our Friday program. And first one in West Columbia. And there's great craft beer. Cool folks in wine thing I'm into this excellent. Also, menu, food solutions. So that's going on here. We're going to be here for also everybody that your coach over there as well. That's going on the football season against the showroom. We home with the bathroom and just to go experience. And those are our tailgate Fridays right here on the game. So we'll come back on the we got some accidents. I-20 eastbound after US 1 at exit 58. Also 20 eastbound Longs Pond Road at exit 51. I-20 westbound at US exit 1 or US exit 1 exit 58 as well. We got a big cluster there between I-20 east and westbound and US 1 exit 58, which is taking you toward Lexington. Andrews Road, Broad River Road, I-26 well. and the construction to do with the weather. So every time, pay attention. We got some stuff going on. Take it slow. All right, we'll come back here with our on the SEC right here on the Postgame Show live. Savage up until 6:00. Live from Savage in West Columbia. Happy hour first picked up. Again, stop out at Savage. Have a craft beer. Have this really cool frozen wine thing. Have other beverages with the menu. Food's really good. Yeah, we're going to be out here till 6 today. The festivities continue on after we go here at Savage, West Columbia. Tailgate Friday show and Postgame Show. Right around the SEC. We talked about Notre Dame Arkansas earlier. The Fighting Irish, I think, are just going to run the ball, and Arkansas can't stop it. I think Notre Dame will go to Fayetteville and win, but Arkansas hanging out, absolutely. Arkansas hung around in all their they blow out when they win, and then they figure out how to screw it up if you lose. There should be a professional podium, and I think the thing is going to be a special season. There's something drastic changing with our football. There's also been a rumor that Bobby, you'll be stunned by this, so sit down. Bobby Petrino has been working back channels to take over as the head coach in Arkansas if Sam Pittman steps out. I know, stunning, right? Bobby Petrino steps him in the back. It never happened. Of course, Petrino's nice. Also, we talked Alabama, Georgia. Bulldogs just line up and run the ball like Florida State. Just run over Alabama until they can stop it. Florida State just kept running, and damage. They weren't very physical back then. Florida State laid the wood to the tie. So in Georgia, you watch that film, you're like, look, we're tough and physical too. Screw it. Let's just run it to the stop us. Alabama, you look at the Georgia film against Tennessee, where Tennessee threw the ball all over the yard against Georgia. And Alabama can say, heck, we can throw it until they stop us. It's a very interesting game. I think Georgia wins going home. LSU at Ole Miss. At first, I think LSU wins this game. Really good defense. I mean, LSU wins. Defense has been excellent this year. Well, they got guys. They just haven't put it together. To get Nussmeier and those receivers. The offensive line, though, has had some issues. And LSU can't run the ball at all. So they flip Ole Miss. Since Trinidad Stambles took over quarterback, the offense is coming better. Defensively, they had some issues stopping the run. LSU can't run the ball. I think yesterday I picked LSU. I totally changed my mind the more I researched this game. I'm going Ole Miss at home. Mississippi State is undefeated. They will not be undefeated by Sunday. Tennessee should go to Starkville, and Mississippi State has not really played anyone. Tennessee is someone. I think the ball is there. Chris Levy's doing a nice job in year two. Take nothing away from what he's done. But it's a tall order to try to beat Tennessee even at home with the top, which probably will be fine for a while. Also, we talked about Auburn and Texas A&M. A&M has been offensively, has been explosive. He scored a lot of points. Auburn has been good on offense. They haven't scored a lot, and they haven't had a lot of explosive points. So I look at that as I think A&M at home will win the football game. And that's kind of where we're at in the SEC. We circle back to East Carolina taking on Kentucky, and get back to the sound here as we hear Shane Deere talk to the music on the calls tonight. Shane hit a multitude of calls on the show with us. I want to get to the third game talk because this is going to be about something. North Carolina is at the bottom of the SEC in converting third downs on offense and stopping the opposing offense from converting third downs. Not a good formula. Let's get to touch that in the struggles on third down here.
Yeah, penalties are a part of it, and it's being nowhere near deep enough on first and second down. And, it's hard to call plays and operate consistently in third and long. Clayton White calling defenses versus 3rd and 9 as opposed to 3rd and 3. So you've got to stay out of 3rd and long. How do you do that? You're a lot more efficient than you have been on first down and second down. And then you also don't have penalties to get you behind the chains and force you to fight an uphill battle before you even get 3rd down.
Yeah, the 3rd down thing's been an issue on both sides of the ball. Still in offense, like Shane said, penalties have been part of it. You pick up a positive gain on 1st down, and all of a sudden you get a 5-yard procedural penalty. Now you're sitting second and 11, 2nd and 12. And that's been an issue. It just has been. And with this offense struggling for success rate on 1st down, or being, efficient in any way, shape, or form, it might as well be second at 100, just to be honest. Now, South Carolina hit some explosive plays. Yes, that's been the savior, especially in Missouri, hitting some explosive plays on Marcel and some NFL throws in that game. Now, he missed a few he'd love to have back, but he did make some excellent throws, and South Carolina had big plays in the passing game because of it, and the receivers also did their job as well. As offensively, look, Sellers was under duress. He was under pressure. I think 54% of his dropbacks. But 3rd down was an issue. You've got to get off the field on 3rd down as a defense. That's a huge issue as well. The South Carolina defense, after looking good in the first couple games, really kind of taking a step or 2 or 3 back in the last couple of games, especially stopping the run. It's been a huge problem, and you can't stop the run when you look at a 2nd, 3rd, and short. And, that's not a genius, but teams tend to convert 3rd and short much easier than 3rd and long. So this is, because again, when you have success on 1st down, we all talk about 3rd down conversions, and I get it, but success on 1st down is such a thing. And if you can get 5 yards on 1st down, which is looked at as successful, and put yourself at 2nd and 5, or better, just the whole playbook. You can do so many things. And right now, South Carolina, because they're having a tough time stopping the run game the last couple of weeks, you have teams short and 3rd and short on. And so that's got to get scored up. It's not just tackle. We talk about linebackers have to play the right gaps. The edge guys have to hold the edge and contain. And then when you have a chance to get the tackle, don't miss the tackle. All that is that easy. On offense, you got to get yourself in better down distance as well. And part of that is the penalties. A lot of the procedural penalties has really hurt this offense. And that technique you got to clean up. And obviously, you want to be able to run the ball. And Steve, a lot of you said earlier, pulling up an excellent point that we've kind of danced around a little bit this week and not really kind of honed in on, because Stephen brought it up, which is a great point that I want to push it today, is throw the ball and take the run. You just can't run the ball. You're not getting a push up front. You're going to have some offensive line shuffling again this week. So maybe you throw it to set up the run game. Maybe when Mike Poole puts together the script, and he's been successful in the script this year, maybe you script up some pass plays and hopefully maybe open up the run game for you a little bit. So we'll see. But that is something on 3rd down, both sides of the ball, just got to get. And with Kentucky is not going to blow you out. They're not explosive on offense. They, again, won't bore you to death. And our theme of the show, one of them is Kentucky likes to bore you. They want to hear a lot of scoring in the Stanford Williams on Saturday. That they've done their job. So if you can score early, keep the crowd in the game, be successful enough on offense, especially on 1st down, to get some situations that are much more favorable, that's the way you can go in this football game, and you can win. You just got to stop hurting yourself, whether it's not tackling, committing penalties. If you just can clean up your stuff, so even if you're doing it 50% of what you've been doing, that should be enough to win this football game against Kentucky. And we'll talk more about that in our final segment, kind of give our last rundown and wrap on South Carolina, Kentucky, and also maybe look at some of the things in the sports world we haven't quite gotten to before we get out of it. We will zero in next on beating Kentucky tomorrow night. Again, everything gets started for us 2:30 Gamecocks game day. live from James Corner, right across from Williams-Brice in Columbia. Network takes over with Chris Miller in the field, 4:30, and Todd and Tommy on the call, 7:45 from Williams-Brice. Gamecocks and Wildcats. You can hear it right here on 107.5 Game in Columbia and our affiliate 100.3 Game in Myrtle Beach. Savage Craft, man, it's been great. I mean, the weather right now stinks, but that's okay. That means you just go under the roof, go inside, enjoy a good craft beer, grab something to eat, try some of the other beverages. I mean, yeah, I think it's 6:01. Just start sampling. Maybe. We'll see. I'm just not Savage Craft. We're here till 6, but, the good times going here way past 6. All right, we will come back, wrap this baby up. We'll look how South Carolina beats Kentucky tomorrow night to get the 3-2 going into 5. That's next here on the postgame show. Terry Ford, Rachel's here. Our buds from the Nest. Our secret mysterious cameraman. Also, Judy's hanging around. Ed Bird back in the studio. One more segment to go here on the game. Oh, our final segment here from Savage in West Columbia again. Oh, the rain, just in time for us to leave, Rachel. The rain is slowing down just in time for us to leave. Rain is slowed down just in time for us to go. So that's good. We appreciate that. That way we're not carrying equipment out in the rain. That's good. That's good. So we are hanging out here till 6, but obviously the good times keep going here at Savage Craft. Again, craft beer, excellent food, all sorts of other beverages at Savage. We'll be hanging out doing Tailgate Fridays with Savage and Kreger showrooms over on Gadsden and the Vista. We thank Nikki and Graham and those folks as well. So as we wrap up our final segment for the Friday Tailgate Show, getting ready for South Carolina and Kentucky. All right, we'll give you our keys to this thing. We kind of hit them back and forth during the broadcast. But we'll get Shane Beamer before we get to our thoughts. Let's get cut Ken Edward. Shane Beamer, his keys to beating Kentucky on Saturday night.
Yeah, I would hope so. You're exactly right. They do a great job and kind of respect the students and the level of success that he's had at Kentucky for a long time. They do a great job. They're defensive minded. They don't beat themselves. They're physical. And, you know, our guys know it's going to be a physical game on Saturday night. And that's the kind of game it's going to be. You know, what you can learn, obviously, they 2 years ago, and we scored late, go ahead. The two last Lexington were obviously had big plays that game on defense and special teams. If you remember up there in 2022, the first play of the game, they tried to run with reverse, and we caught the turnover and took the goal like a 4-yard line. We blocked a punt in that game. It was huge, kick forward. Last year, we people forget that was a 10-6 game last midway through the third quarter. And then Gilmore had an interception. Nicky Mamori had 6. Yeah. So, one thing I've learned from that is it's going to be tough to score points for teams typically in this game. So a team that can make a play on defense or special teams, that'll be a key. And then with these guys, certainly we've got to be physical. It's going to be that kind of game. That's their DNA at Kentucky. And then stopping the run. It goes without saying. We've got to do a better job of that so we can't affect this freshman quarterback that they have. He's a redshirt freshman making his first SEC start. We've got to affect him, but the only way we can affect him is if we make him get in some passing situations. If he's able to sit back there and hand the ball off all night, which they've got a big offensive line and a really, really, really good and physical running back that we've got to be able to keep under control and force this quarterback to have to make some throws.
Yeah, Shane covered it. We're done, Ed. We can go home then. Shane for the fourth. Look, Kentucky obviously, they want to be physical. They want to brawl. That's Mark Stoops' MO at Kentucky. And you're going to face that Saturday night. You're more talented, but are you going to, match their physicality? South Carolina has lately. You got a nice winning streak against Kentucky, and you can continue it on. And skill position-wise, you're better. You got the better quarterback. You got a nice staple receivers. I like Dingle, the tight end, on a Wildcat, by the way. All of it's going to depend on can the offensive line win the line of scrimmage. Missouri, which, by the way, they were much more active and they were better defensively than I thought they were going to be, just to be honest. But they won the line of scrimmage the entire game. Matter of fact, they reset the line of scrimmage like 2-3 yards and still in his backfield. That can't happen. Cannot happen. I get it. You got some injuries on the offensive line. I understand. But still, you brought in depth for a reason, and now you're going to have to use it. Whether it's Rodney Newsom at center or Boaz Stanley, whether it's Scott at guard, or Stanley or Newsom at guard. The tree will be at right tackle. Thomas will be a left tackle. John Strickland brought it up in that segment with Bill and Tyler. One of the biggest problems is getting to that second level and blocking the linebackers. How many times in that Missouri game did you see like a play we thought, ooh, might be some yards, and all of a sudden here comes Trotter and those linebackers from Missouri, and all of a sudden you thought might be a 4 or 5 yard gain, a 3-yard loss. You saw last year in South Carolina's linebackers with Demetrius Knight and Van Mark Scott and Debo Williams. Other team would try to run the ball, and the South Carolina linebackers were flying, hitting the right gaps and making big plays and stuffing the run game. So South Carolina's offensive line, we've got to get to that second level and get the linebacker. No matter what the run play is called, the type of run scheme, whatever it is, we got to be able to get that second level in the run game. In South Carolina, I think Stephen made a good point in the chat. Maybe you throw to set up the run. You got to do something to get this offense cooking and to make it more efficient, productive, consistent, and not just get a big play. Hopefully we can get some big plays. Big plays are great, but if you can't get big plays, what's your plan B? Punt? That's not a good idea. So you have to match that physicality and win the line. And you got to quit self-inflicted wounds start just killing you. You got to stop that. If those things happen at the tackle, you leave with a win. Everybody's fine work. We thank folks here at Savage Post Game Show. We'll talk to you next week here on the game. Again, we want to thank our friends and buddies and pals here at Savage Craft who have made our time here excellent. We've enjoyed it. And also need to remember that if you need cabinetry, CHW Cabinetry is where you go. I mean, Star, it's not just about the photo real renderings and the entire work made out for you. It's not just the idea that, the cabinetry is phenomenal and they will do everything you want.